screen.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, no, what can you see? Yeah, you have to
No,
see,
we can
right?
see you.
Framework or for communicating value in any environment.
Okay, great. So you can see me and you can see my screen. Is that correct?
That's
Yes, we
cool.
can.
Excellent. Great. Sorry about the technical glitch. I used my main laptop and then it just refused to bring up the video. And so I had to switch to my other laptop and I haven't used them on it before. Um, I just have a little bit of time to walk you through something that has been impressed in my heart, especially when Minister Michael was taking the first session on wealth creation. And one of the things that popped to me when he was taking that session is how exactly do you communicate value in an environment? What does it mean to communicate value? Because if you want to create wealth across the multiple pillars that he had mentioned, one of the core things we must do is to communicate that value to other people. Whether we are doing that within our career, whether we're doing that across consumers or customers or government. I know Minister Michael spoke about how he wants to get into politics, and in my mind, I was just thinking about him engaging with people in boardrooms, in governments. And to do that, it means one of the core elements and the core substance that you need is communication. And so, what does that really mean? What does communication mean within our current work environment? What does communication mean within certain things that we are passionate about or we've been called to do? What does communication mean around certain things that certain skills that we do have and we are beginning to display it? And so, what I'm going to do this morning, very briefly, is speak about what a potential framework um, can look like. And, we need to move away from thinking about communication as a soft skill. I disagree violently that communication is not just a soft skill. Rather, it is a wealth transfer tool. And so if you want to get into the mountains of wealth creation, you must know how to communicate. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lamide Johnson, and I will be taking you through this session. I'll be very briefly. I'll try to be as brief as possible so we can go into the core service. And I hope you stay with me and write as much as you can. And at the end of this session, I just have one question that we will walk through, and you can ask me any questions that you've got. So let's start. What exactly is the problem here? A lot of people are gifted, we are capable, but we are often overlooked. And this is because, we have value, but it stays inside of us. It is unpackaged, it's unnamed, it's untamed, in fact, but it needs to be communicated. If we keep it trapped inside of us, we carry it, but we don't bring it into the room. Or perhaps we're speaking the wrong language in the rooms we are in. Maybe we are communicating in Hebrew and the people there are listening in Latin. What I just mean is that there is no rapport or there's no alignment between your communication and what other people are hearing. People of different worlds are communicating. Yesterday, I was trying to get a website developer to develop my website. I mean, after Bishop had given us some really strong words last week, Saturday, I began to think about my brand, my personal brand, and doing some things again. And one of the things I did this week is to create the content for my personal brand. I engaged with a graphic designer to design a personal logo all over again, give me the brand colors, and then I engaged with a website developer. And when I was speaking, I had gone on Fiverr to get somebody to do it, and then I had to reach out to somebody, and I realized that they were asking me one question that I wasn't comfortable answering. They were asking, "Who are you? What do you do?" And I thought it was intrusive, but they wanted to ask the question because they want to know who I am so that they can profile the best solution within my current realities. But I thought they were being intrusive. Now, this is different generations of people. They're much younger. I'm slightly older, but I just couldn't understand. So we're speaking different languages, and that might perhaps also happen to you. You are within a career, within an organization, and a company at the moment, and your boss just doesn't get you. Your colleagues don't quite understand you. Your husband doesn't hear you. Your wife perhaps misunderstands you. Maybe there's a difference in the language as is spoken, or just maybe you are holding back because you are waiting for permission. You are waiting for permission to bring your thoughts on the table. And this is something I say to some people who are very close to me. If you need to give me feedback, give it, albeit how brutal it is. You don't need permission to do that anymore, right? Because we are friends, we're family, you can do that. But within a work environment, we get into a room, we hold back. Why? Because we are waiting for people to ask us questions. We're waiting for people to say, okay, great, we're done here. Let's see. Lamide, do you have anything to say at all? We're waiting for that permission to happen. We won't always get permissions to bring our voice into the room. That's not always going to happen. So, what it means that the critical problem here is that talent is not a problem, communication is. And value you can't communicate is value that the world will never receive. People will not know who you are if you don't speak, if you don't communicate what you do, how you do it. If you can't do it, or who you know can't do it, then there'll be a challenge. So I'm going to walk you through a framework that I developed. And when I've been thinking about this framework for a bit, and it's been sitting in my mind, and I've just been creating what that would potentially look like. And I'm calling it the 5-step framework to unlock the value that is trapped within you. The first thing you must do is understand the inner chatter. When you do that, then you have to lead with curiosity. When you do that, then you need to find X, solve for X, and show results. It is so interesting that I used arithmetics here, find X, solve X. I was having a good laugh when I was using that word. I was like, I don't like mathematics. I don't know how I became a science student studying for the maths. But it's interesting I'm using this in my framework today. But I'm going to share what this means. So if it looks complicated, don't worry. I'll break it down and I'll break the 5-step level. And that's all I'm going to speak about today. I'm going to walk you through what the inner chatter means, what curiosity means, what find X means, what solving for X means, and how showing results will help you to communicate value in any room you are in at all. So first, let's talk about our inner chatter. The first thing you must do before you communicate in any room is to renew your own narrative. The story you tell yourself is the story you tell the room. A lot of people have multiple scripts running through their heads before they get into any room at all. Oh, I'm not very good with words. People like me don't get these opportunities. I'm so blessed to be in this environment, or I don't have the right qualification or the experience. For some of you who know me, some people know I stutter, and sometimes, I speak too fast because I'm trying to smoothen out the stuttering, and so because of that, sometimes at the time in my life, I didn't quite feel like I should communicate in rooms because people don't quite get me. In fact, in my current work environment where I'm at, there's somebody who is on my team, and each time I speak, he pauses and says, I didn't quite understand what you said. Your accent is, I don't quite, it didn't quite land. And I used to feel so embarrassed when he says that. I don't know, maybe if it's a problem with my R, because I struggle with the R word. I'm from Yoruba, so it's very hard for me to say R. Or my Nigerian accent is just too very thick, and the guy just didn't get it. Sometimes some of you struggle with words. You just feel I need to use some complicated words, some professional jargons to be able to communicate what I'm saying. It could happen. Or I'm so lucky to be in this environment and other people are more qualified than I am. That chatter is drowning your ability to communicate value. And whenever you tell yourself that story before you get into any room, you have paralyzed your ability to communicate at all. I'm going to say that again. When your inner chatter brings you down at all, in any way, shape, or form, you paralyze your ability to bring value into a room. In fact, sometimes because people had said something to us within such meetings, or they've been quite critical and they've torn apart some of the suggestions you've brought to the table, it disarms you totally. And when you get into a different environment completely, it's a completely different environment where people allow you to speak and allow you to express yourself, you find yourself holding back. And this is not their fault. It is completely the fault of your inner chatter. I worked in an environment years ago, and I will still say that's one of the best environments I have worked in, where superior argument wins. Pastor Dari will know what I'm talking about because we worked in the same environment too. Superior argument wins. And so it means that we come into the table and everybody says what they want to say. We are on each other's throats and just arguing until somebody brings a superior argument. So if we come and say this is the superior argument, we agree. So what that means is that we're very fine and comfortable with disagreement, right? But sometimes when you've been disagreed with on certain things within your work environment, or when you are communicating value, or perhaps you've tried to sell a product online and people don't quite accept it, we take that failure and we don't go again. Okay, so that script keeps running in our mind and it just paralyzes us completely, and we're not able to communicate value. We need to fix that. Listen, it is simple. It's garbage in, garbage out. Whatever you feed your mind with, then your mouth produces it. It's simple. Everything I have said so far on on this call are things I know. It sits in my heart. Out of the abundance of my heart, my mouth speaks. If there are things that I don't know, I'm not aware of, I haven't experienced, I've spoken about two call stories in my personal lives already in this on this call so far in the past 7 minutes. The reality remains, it is because these are the things I have fed myself with. These are the experience I've gone through. So the question is, I'm asking you, what are you feeding your heart? What is in your mind? What is the story you tell yourself before you get into work? As you walk into the office, as you plan to showcase your product, as you plan to get into a meeting with a client, with a prospect, what do you tell yourself? Is it holding you back? If it is, name it and sort it out. Or if you're speaking grace into your life and speaking abundance into your heart, then to show with what you say. That's your inner charter. Step two, you need to lead with curiosity. And what do I mean? It's simple. Before you get into any room at all, research your audience. Who are you speaking to? Because genuine curiosity is a competitive advantage in any setting at all. When you are in any setting and you need to communicate value, if you know who you're speaking about, who you know who they are, their background, their roles, what they value, you understand the person, that helps. If you know what they're trying to achieve in the conversation, what their goal is, not just the meeting agenda, you have to look past whatever surface requests or things that have been sent to you, but you think about what exactly are they trying to achieve here. It helps. Or if you think about what keeps them up at night, and literally what keeps them up at night, and what is their pain points, what are their fears, what is holding them back, it helps you to understand them more. Or what have they tried? Have they tried stuff before? Have they, what are they used to doing? Because you don't want to go into the room telling them things they know already, yeah? So if you know, the more you know about them, the more helpful it gets. And listen, in Proverbs 18, verse 13, it speaks about how you have to, before you answer, you must listen. Before you answer, you must listen. So curiosity means you need to ask questions. Okay, you need to ask questions and you have to ask the right questions. I can't go into the depth of what asking the right questions mean on this call because we have such a short time. But before you go into any setting at all, you need to do some research. You do some surface level research to understand exactly where you are at, what the people want, what is value to them, what their pain points are, what they've tried before, and what potential solutions you can bring aboard. You have to lead with curiosity. Walk into any setting with a curious mind. A lot of us have lost our curious minds because kids are curious. When I was working on my slides, my kids came to the study. Daddy, what are you working on? I'm working on this. Oh, right. Oh, nice. I like the colors. How long is it going to be for? I'll tell them. When do you have to do this? I'll tell them. Asking lots and lots of questions. The kids, they're so curious. As adults, we've lost curiosity. We don't want to ask questions because we feel, oh, those are too many questions. I don't want to go into that at this time. The reality is, when you are curious and you have a curious mind, you do lots of research. Let us spend as much time researching as much as we can. Use your AI, Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, whatever it is, to remain curious. And the more curious you get, the more information you would have to be able to tackle the next point in the framework. Find X. And this was an interesting one. What does finding X mean? It means identifying the problem. Everyone moves around with a problem in their head. In fact, right now, you're here because there's a problem. Okay? Everyone is carrying one problem or the other. Life is burdened with lots of problems. I don't quite think there's any point in life where somebody will be devoid of all the problems. There is either, in fact, if If you are so wealthy and you have a lot of people doing things for you, the problem will now be how to spend the money. Literally, everyone has something they're trying to solve. Now, a lot of people will tell you when you go into meetings, for instance, I'll use the context of the meeting for this conversation. They tell you what the agenda is. We'll have a call, for instance, let's have a call to discuss the design of a certain program. That is an agenda. They'll ask a specific question saying, can you come with thoughts around what potentially we should have in terms of the training modules and all of those things? And they might tell you an obvious challenge, and they'll say to you, we're not quite sure how to get people who from a disadvantaged environment to subscribe to the program, or we're not quite sure how to get sponsorship to come into the program. These are the things people tell you. And for me, those are basic things. Those are very basic things. What you must invest your time in identifying before you get into the room, or even while you're in the room, is what is unsaid. What is the tension underneath this? Is it a time tension? Is it a resource tension? Is it a value tension? What is the underlying tension? Right? Two, what are the things nobody is naming directly here? Or what is the real problem behind the presenting problem? I was in a call recently, and we were trying to make a decision around certain things on a project I'm working on, and what was being said was different from what the underlying issue was. And helpfully, I was able to understand the undertone. And it was so interesting. It was so interesting. So, well, I'm working on a training program, and for the training program, we've gotten a location to do the training program. I was speaking to the partners about that program. Now, the partners were more concerned. They were like, "Oh, is the location nice? Do they have places to walk? You know, does it have a retreat venue?" That is what is being said. What was unsaid is the quality of their rooms. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine? It was unsaid. And so when I was doing a presentation about the selected hotel, I just dropped it very simply. Oh, so this is how the rooms are gonna look like during your stay. Number one, the rooms have this. At the end of the call, let's just say it was approved. Easy peasy. It doesn't have a work environment where people are working. It doesn't have a retreat-like venue, but the rooms are lovely. Simple. What is said, what is unsaid. Every room you get to, there are people who do this. They'll tell you what is being said, which is obvious, but you need to master the art of understanding the problem behind the presenting problem. The most valuable person in any room is the one who names what the problem is, and very clearly. Now, solve for X. How do you solve for X? You need to offer a product. Okay? You need to offer a product. Now, you must ship your solutions clearly and with precision. A lot of people have this solution in us. Like I've said already, I'm not trying to help you find the product here on this call, okay? You have the product, you have it, you have the value inside of you. I want to help to ship it, and that's why I'm talking about the five-step framework. But how do you ship that product with precision? How do you ship it clearly? What do you do? Here's what some people do. They say, oh, when do you want to start? Oh, this might be a silly idea, but I was thinking, haba. Please, I beg. Don't do that here. We don't do that here. Or, sorry, can I just say something quickly? Quickly, K. No, you will wait for me to finish my train of thoughts. In fact, I will put it in five-step process. Here's what I'm thinking. And actually, as we've been having a conversation, I've been thinking about this very deeply. Here are five things I think we can potentially do. Number one, of course. It's important. You will listen to me. This is my space. This is my time. I've listened to all of you speak. It is time for me to speak. Or some people will say, I don't know if this is relevant, but I was wondering if is it possible? Not anymore. Not after this call. Whenever you want to speak, you will speak succinctly. You'll be calm, you'll be clear, you'll be direct, you won't over apologize, you won't hedge. No more. So, but you do stuff like this is what I'm hearing. I think the real issue here is that we should do one, two, three, four. Clearly. Or, what if we look at this very differently? Is it possible we clearly? Here's what I think will work. Now, I've heard what you said, Pastor Dario. I've heard what you said, Minister Michael. I've heard what you said. And I quite think we could also consider be clear, be direct. Very important. When Joseph had the dreams, and he went in front of Pharaoh. He wasn't saying, actually, maybe, possibly, oh, I'm sorry, oh, I know I'm not supposed to be here speaking. I mean, you have all your elders of council around you. I'm just a prisoner, but I was wondering if, not anymore. He went there with a 7-year economic plan. How? How? Listen, when I was doing this, when I was working on this, I mean, the picture that came to my mind when Michael was taking his session was Genesis 40 to 43. And I wanted to just create this entire framework from the life of Joseph and how he communicated value, right? From where he communicated value. Because some people think they can't communicate, they have to communicate value only when they get into the boardroom. They do not quite know that communicating value, you rehearse it from the prison. You rehearse it from there. That is when you prepare yourself so that when you get in front of the global audience, there's no mess up. God takes people through processes. There's certain things he does in building your capability so that when you get there, you won't lano. I'm sorry about that. That's Yoruba. When you get there, you will not mess up. So when people have gone through a process of refinement, when people have gone through a process of pressing, when they get in front of their pharaoh, there's an easy transition to become the prime minister. It's so easy. Why? There has been a period of preparation, but I can't go into that. I hope I'm able to do that at some point. But the reality is this: the way you ship it, the way you offer that solution is absolutely important. So you have that value inside of you. You use this strategy to ship it. Now, here's the last thing you need to do. Show results. Let me explain. I don't mean that in that meeting you show results immediately. I don't mean that you show your results. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. You know, emotions are important. You get people to listen to you through emotions. However, you must use facts to back it up. When you mix emotions and facts, people make decisions very quickly. I'll say that again. When you mix emotions and facts, when you back your stories with logic, people make decisions very quickly. So, first, appeal to the hearts of people, then back it up with facts. What do? So, you have to tell them how it felt like when you worked before. It's case studies. You use case studies to do it. Whenever I'm speaking to a new client on anything at all, one of the core things I do is work with high network individuals to better communicate. And it could be communication through keynote speeches. They have TEDx talks. They have presentations like this. They have to communicate with the people who they work with. That's one of the things I'm very much called to do. But when I'm landing a new client on this, and I don't say too much, I just tell a bit of the people who I've worked with and what they do and what it helped them achieve. That's all. But when I back it up with logic and facts, and they're able to do verification by just going online and checking the profiles of the people I'm seeing I'm working with, that's all. So you open that conversation with stories, let them feel the outcome before they even try to measure it. Then you back it up solidly with facts. Give a specific case within your work environment. Give a specific case of your competitors. Give a specific case of people who have done it before and it worked and why you're proposing it. Give a specific case about this. Why? I do say success is replicable. If it has been done before, it can be done again. Just use the right measures in place. Place it. Once you've done it, that's all. Now, when Jesus was doing this, this is a scripture that always baffles me. I used to wonder, and please, some of you are here, all of you here are Bible scholars more than I am. So if I'm wrong, please correct me. On 2 occasions, it has been said that Jesus fed the people who were going around him. The first instance was about the 5,000. The second instance was about the 4,000. I have a question. Just help me. So, when he fed the 5,000 and 4,000, is that the only time he fed the people, the multitudes, in his entire ministerial career? I might be lost, or I may be wrong. But I do think that first instance that he fed them was a show of his capacity to feed people. Because going forward, he just kept on doing it. But the people, the apostles just felt, we don't write this in again because it will now become boring, because every time When people gather, listen, whenever he gets into new places, people just gathered. They were following him. Why? Because there was food every time. It became a normal pattern. It was no more a miraculous moment. When you are with Jesus, you are fed. Simple. It became a repeated pattern. So, there are certain people here today who, when they are in rooms, they are not called to say something. I'll explain. You are within certain rooms and they will call you and say, "Oh, we would like to know what Oge thinks about this." Okay, what do you quite think? And if Oge is quiet, everybody knows, it's like what we are saying. It's not making sense. For Oge to be quiet, there's a problem here. Why? Because we do know that when Oge speaks, she communicates value. This is what happens at that point because your success is now repeated. You have been able to compound your results. And that's where we're headed. That's where we're headed today. Because if you deploy this five-step framework, what happens is that all the results you have will start to compound, and people will want to listen to you whenever you're speaking about stuff. Every result is a deposit into a reputation, your reputation, which is what you need to work on. It compounds interest over time. He fed 5,000, 4,000, again and again and again and again and again and again. It was no longer a miracle. It is what it was. So you prove it once, you build credibility. You do it again, reputation. And then others begin to, you build legacy because people start referring you for that work. Here's what the Bible says in Proverbs 22. It says, you see someone who is skilled, they'll serve before kings. See someone skilled, they'll serve before kings. See someone skilled, they'll serve before kings. So if you've listened to this and you're wondering, what value can I communicate? Solve for skill. Okay? Solve for skill. You find a skill you really want, a skill you really want to work on, a skill you feel. Listen, when I started working on the website, I first did lots of research about the platform to use for myself. I saw Framer, I saw Wix, Squarespace, Webflow. I saw lots of things, and then I got into it. I chose Framer. Then I went to Udemy. I bought a course on learning Framer, and I started working on it. And then I sat down and I said, Jesus, the course was 13 hours. I said, Jesus Christ. I know that I like to learn these things from scratch, but this one, let me find somebody that can do it. Let me pay for it. We'll learn later. I just wanted to highlight something there. There is nothing that cannot be learned. Nothing. Nothing. You find a skill, you can learn it, or you pay for to get it done quickly. So the person who is building the website for me now, I told him simple things. Build it in a way that I can work on it myself, but build the entire framework. Once you're done, I want to be able to get to the back end and move things around by myself, and you show me how to do it. He said, okay, that's fine. That is part of our contract. There's no skill you want to have that you can get. Questions? Now, I have two questions, and we'll just speak about it very briefly in 5 minutes and we'll wrap it. What part of the five-step framework have you gained mastery in? If you look at everything we've spoken about, your inner chatter, your curiosity, finding solving for exhaustion results, which one have you gained mastery and where do you need to improve? I'm going to minimize my screen. You know all the 5 steps. We'll have 2 conversations and we wrap the life school